including the first few ones, and in the early ones, he used to be able to fly. He would kneel and pray to the Virgin of Guadalupe, and he would take off. I tried that and I failed. But I think that there is no good films, and the rights to his life and his character and all that are very entangled. I as a kid loved El Santo, but I was particularly, I had a proclivity towards Blue Demon, Blue Demon as we used to call him in Mexico, because he had the coolest mask, he had the coolest thighs, I guess, and he kept in shape. El Santo had a couple of tacos more than he should have, maybe. But Blue Demon was like really buff and happening, and he was the bad guy, and I like that, But the character is based on that.
Hi, I'm wondering about two of your movies, and it's sort of a related question with regard to your book. Your characters are always experiencing this, the main character always experiences deep pain, and then it ends up culminating in a beautiful ending.
Yes.
And I'm wondering what inspires you when you're writing, and what was the inspiration for this trilogy as well?
Well, she's asking about the movies I make and the fact that the characters go through great pain and ultimately have a beautiful, moving ending and so forth. Well, I was raised Catholic, so that accounts for about 90% of it. With and I learned that in fact pain is an incredibly learning tool, and we spend our life avoiding that. I think the worst thing that happened, and this coming from a fat guy is pretty ironic, but comfort is the worst thing that can happen, because when they say for your convenience. Is it really for my convenience? Is it really what I think that the things that hurt us the most make us grow the most, and the more we isolate from pain and experience, the more they are going to come in like a tidal wave and destroy us. And the more we face it, the more we get used to dealing with it. Is better. And I really think fear and pain and this and that. I mean, they are instruments for us to learn. And to my daughters, every time one of my daughters comes back with something that she's afraid of, I say, face it right now, because otherwise life is, if you're afraid of a dragon and you avoid it, later in life is going to send you a bigger dragon of the same kind. And you're going to have to, and you avoid that one, it's going to be a bigger one, until you face something that destroys you. And I think that, I find that in childhood, you see all these movies that deal with childhood in such a stupid way. Where kids skateboard out of danger and high-five each other and say a really glib one-liner, and they are super smart and hip and happening, and they look like Justin Bieber. And I don't know about anyone else, but my childhood was screwed. See, I said screwed. And I really think that it's key for fairy tales are about struggle. Fairy tales are about overcoming the odds, and I think it's very important to have that, and at the end finding that path of pain led you to seeing something beautiful and powerful. And so that's a short answer, man.
Two more questions. Hi, welcome back.
Thank you.
My question's for both of you, because your relationship as co-writers changed when you got to New Zealand.
Yes.
What was it like now that you had a changing relationship as writers?
He's asking if our relationship changed as writers, when I moved to New Zealand. We just used the same email. I mean, LA was as far from Boston as New Zealand, essentially, electronically. But there was, curiously enough, a lot of time. New Zealand is very slow, and is perhaps paradise on earth. Is one of the most beautiful countries, greatest people. But for 6 or 7 months, I didn't have my daughters or my wife constantly with me. So I found myself with a lot of time, because when my wife's not with me, I don't sleep much. I stay up late, I wake up early, and I was able to keep communication with Charles in the same way and have a lot of time to write, curiously enough.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing in the modern world, but it didn't, he went all the way around the world and nothing changed. It really didn't, because of email we could I think all the change was that the emails would come at like 4 a.m. instead of 2 a.m. That was like the only difference. No.
And you know, I was riding from a little house near the beach that had a great sign across the street that said "Penguin Crossing." Careful, penguins crossing. I like that.
In book one, out of the airplane, there were 4 survivors, and I wasn't really clear about like why they survived and not the others. And
What, the 4? Why the 4? Have you got the second book?
I already read it.
Oh, right. All right.
Why
the 4 survived?
So you're wondering why those 4 and not
Why
anyone
those 4
else?
survived and not the others?
Well, I mean, it's how do I answer this without giving everything away? The master, he's drawn to certain people, certain kinds of people, and that's his own thing. The other thing, there was a strategic purpose also, which was to have these quote unquote survivors, walk away and draw some attention while. You've read the first book. While things were going on, for instance, inside the morgues and etc., and allowing that to go out. So the one reason was really specific to the first book. The first reason that I talked about, a little more specific to the second book.
To be short, and I hope I don't spoil anything, the first Gabriel Bolivar, we had originally explained it much more in the book. I wrote a section where the master looked at him with a vested interest that comes to play in the second book at the end, if you remember. Mm-hmm. He sees it and says, he likes what he sees and he has an interest in it. I cannot spoil it anymore. The second one, Captain Redfern was hidden on top of the plane. And the other people were essentially key to, remember, the master was about feeding and spreading the disease. So he essentially went for the passengers to allow that, sort of to start the decoy and the infection as he crossed the bridge, as he started other movements. If he had left too many of them survive, the spread would have been too quick. All the strategy with Palmer wouldn't paid off. So, those were the strategies we came up with. Redfern was the accidental one, but Bolivar, I'm going to spoil it, one day. Cover your ears. Oh, okay. No. No. You'll read the second. All right. I guess one more question? Yes? By the way, you can ask me as we're signing. We will talk.
New Yorker and living here all my life, I related to the book very well. So speaking as a New Yorker myself, out of both of these talented gentlemen, which one is the New Yorker has the most New York personality?
Of the two? That's a good question because he's asking. He likes as a New Yorker all of his life. He likes what we did with New York, and he's asking which of the two is the New York expert, I guess, or the New Yorker of the two. And you start.
Yeah, I'm from Boston, so
I'm from Mexico,
so it's definitely not me. This is like to tell the truth. Yes, I don't know. I really don't. I mean, I honestly, I probably never would have said a book in New York on my own, only because I didn't have a lot of familiarity with it. So one of the great things for me, just personally, working on this book was having to get to know New York, and Manhattan, and learning a lot about it, and it was really enlightening. So I sort of came to it, obviously grudgingly from Boston, but here I am.
But the part of the book was born. I came here in 1980 something with my mother, who was acting in a movie called Doña Herlinda and Her Son, which is a movie that I produced for $2,500. And we came into the MoMA, to the New Directors, New Films Festival, and I was walking. It was the first time I saw New York. You know what New York does to a virgin retina? And it absolutely just exploded in my eyes. And I was walking around Central Park, and I saw one of those swanky buildings with the copper rooftops, and I said to my mom, I bet you a vampire lives there. And that's where Bolivar's residence ultimately is in the book. And And I was thinking of anywhere in the world where deaths would go unnoticed. You know, of anywhere in the world. I mean.